And the next thing we are going to talk about is called git diff. Okay, so git diff is a concept where you can say, like, on the local, I can get the difference between the current workstation version versus the commit version. Okay. And at the same time, I can get the differentiator between the local copy versus the remote copy. We will see that example. So first, let me do the notepad test.yaml. There, let me add a new line. Let me do one thing. Let me remove the, okay, I have a spelling mistake here. This file is all about git merge. So I'm making some changes and then testing is successful. Okay, let me just keep it that this way. CC successful. Okay, so let me save this file before that. Let me share it with you. So basically in the local workstation, I'm going to save it and close it. And now if I do a git diff, you can see that it is going to compare my current local version versus the last commit history. So here it is going to compare my current workstation versus the last commit history. There I can see this is going to remove this line and going to add these two lines. Okay. This will be a typical example of how do I get a differentiator between the last commit and the current workspace content. So now I can do a git add. And now if I do a git diff, nothing will be there because the file is added to the commit history. Then I can do a git commit. Like, let me call it as updated test code. And then let me do a git push origin main. So the next thing I'm going to talk about here is, imagine, let's say the UI developer made some changes to this file here. Let me create a new file itself. Okay, create a new file. And there I can call it as testing.js. Okay. It's a JS file for testing. So I'm just giving some content. So I'm just creating a new file called testing.js. And then I'm just putting this content. So developer, I'm doing it. Commit changes. Okay. Now, before pulling the code, I want to see how, is there any changes between the centralized repository and my local repo. The command is git diff. Okay, the branch is main because the local branch is main, and next is on the remote branch. So the remote branch is origin because I have named it as a origin slash main. Yeah, so I can do a git fetch first. Okay, so I have done the git fetch and let me see that. So the other file is not there. So git fetch will get the latest configuration and it will not actually download the files. So instead of doing a git pull, I can do a git fetch, which basically get all the latest configurations. Okay. So git fetch will get the latest configuration, but it will not pull the latest code. After doing a fetch, if you do a git diff, then you can see the difference between your centralized repository and your local copy. So git diff can be used with the working copy and the commit history. At the same time, on a remote also you can do it. So here in the test.yaml, let me modify something instead of here for testing. Um, git diff. Let me add this content. Okay, I'm adding this content. There you can see git fetch. And then now if you do a git diff, you see this. The file name you are seeing, okay, there is a difference in the file name. So with this, you will be able to identify, okay, in the file, I'm going to have a conflict. So based on that, I can take a decision. If I do a git pull now, let's see, it will just replace because I don't have any changes on the file pending. So that is the reason. Instead of giving this complete file name and path, there is one more option called upstream. Do one thing, edit. Let me just remove for testing. Remove this. And if I commit the change, if I do a git fetch, and then git diff @upstream. So this is also you can use it on a shorter version. So this will compare my work code in the work directory with the upstream. Upstream is my remote actually. So this way also you can do it. Either you can give the current branch and the branch you want to compare, or if you want to compare it with the upstream, you can use this option @upstream. Another thing I want to talk about is called in the UI. How can I see the commits? You can just click on it. You can just see what is the commit. And if you want to see the difference, so in the code, if you go to the 10 commits, you can see that. If you just click on this, you can see the commit details, what has been added, what has been removed. Okay. And then you can see who did what, at what time it was done. All those things you can see it. So what really happened on this commit, I can see it. So here, this line has been removed and this line has been added. So if you click on split, you can just see a line by line comparison of it. This is before commit, after commit. Such that you can see the commit history.